Shabbat shalom, peace and love, Shabbat shalom. I'm going to be reading from the book of Matthew, chapter 5 through chapter 7. These are the Torah teachings of Yahushua HaMashiach, the only begotten Son, the only teacher, the only leader. The only teachings we should be learning and teaching ourselves in order to teach others, to become students ourselves, and make students of the nations, meaning disciples. These are his teachings. Bear with me as I try to get through this, Yah willing. Yah willing. Give the camera, I can't make it any perfect than that. The book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 1. But when he saw the crowds, he went up on a mountain. And when he was seated, his taught ones came to him. So these were his taught ones. These were his students. That's what disciples mean, students, taught ones. They came to him. Verse 2, and having opened his mouth, he was teaching them, saying, so this is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 2 is where he began his teachings. And we're going to see that these teachings will go on until the end of chapter 7, verse 28. Literally, where his teachings end, and this is where his teachings begin. In chapter 5 of Matthew, verse 2. And having opened his mouth, he was teaching them, saying, verse 3, blessed are the poor in spirit, because theirs is the reign of the heavens. Theirs is the kingdom of the heavens. So the poor in spirit, who are the poor in spirit? Those who are humble. Those who are humble, those who humble themselves. That's the ones who are poor in spirit. So blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are you when you humble yourself before you have to be humbled by the Most High. You will be blessed by doing so. You will be blessed and you will give yourself access to the kingdom of heaven. Verse 4, blessed are those who mourn, because they shall be comforted. So blessed are those who mourn, those who have empathy for others. Those who mourn for others other than themselves, mourn for others other than their family, mourn for others other than their friends. Those who mourn for others, have empathy for others, you will be comforted when you are in your state of mourning. When you find yourself in your state of mourning, or find yourself in your state of, going through something, you will be comforted. Verse 5, blessed are the meek, because they shall inherit the earth. So blessed are the meek, those who are friendly, those who are approachable, easy to get along with, because they shall inherit the earth. These are the ones who will inherit the earth, because you can't have unfriendly people left in the earth. The whole objective is to remove those people who are not friendly. So you have to get yourself to a point where you're meek, you're friendly, you're approachable. You can say hello to someone you don't know. You can love a stranger. This is who will be left. This is who will inherit the earth. Blessed are the meek. This is the book of Matthew, by the way, chapter 5. And we're reading his teachings that started in chapter 5, verse 2. Blessed are the meek, because they shall inherit the earth. Blessed Verse 6, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, because they shall be filled. So when you hunger and thirst for righteousness, that means you hunger and thirst to be obedient. How do we know that righteousness is obedience? Obedience is righteousness. How do we know that? From reading the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 20 to 25, where it defines our righteousness as being obedience, where it defines our righteousness as obeying the spiritual laws of God and following the instructions of God. So blessed are those who hunger and thirst to obey the instructions of God, to follow the instructions of God and obey the spiritual laws of God, because they shall be filled. You should be filled with this. You should be filled with this. You know, you should be filled with this. There's no contradiction in this. If there's any contradiction in follow the instructions of God, you misread it. You misread it and you misunderstood it. Because the instructions of God is all through, is consistent all through these writings. No one has got it twisted but you if you read it wrong. No one has got it, no one has mistaken it but you. There's an error on your part. If you taken away that the instructions of God is not required. If you've taken away that the spiritual government of God doesn't have spiritual laws to follow. That's like if you have rules to your house. You're not invited. No one is invited if they're not following your rules. No one is invited in your house if they're not following the rules. So how can you expect to be invited in the house of God if you don't follow the rules? If you one who don't follow the rules? It makes no sense. It never made sense. But if you have those who want to do them and do what they want to do. Verse 7, blessed are the compassionate, because they shall obtain compassion. So blessed are the compassionate, because they shall obtain compassion. You have to have compassion in order to obtain compassion. In order for you to expect compassion from others and from compassion from the Most High, you have to have compassion on others. You have to have compassion for others, not just your family, not just your friends. Blessed are you when you do so. Verse 8, blessed are the clean in heart, because they shall see Elohim. They shall see God. They shall see God in all things. When you are clean in heart, and what develops this clean heart is not the flesh heart, it's the spiritual heart. And how you develop this spiritual clean heart is by doing all that we've listed, that we've gone, that the Messiah has listed above. Being poor in spirit, being humble, mourning for others, having empathy for others, being meek, approachable, friendly, being obedient, taking an initiative to obey, not being forced to obey, taking an initiative to obey the instructions, obey the spiritual laws of God, taking the initiative to follow the instructions of God. This is what develops a spiritual clean heart. In order for you to see God, in order for you to see God in everything that you see with your spiritual eyes, in order for you to hear God in everything that you hear with your spiritual ears. If you know, you know. That starts with obedience. That starts with humility, being humble. That starts with mourning for others. That starts with being friendly. That starts with having compassion. Verse 9, blessed are the peacemakers, because they shall be called Sons of Elohim, meaning children of God. So you have to become a peacemaker. Become peacemakers. Make peace with those you don't have peace with. Make peace with yourself and make peace with those who you don't have peace with. This is the only way to be called children of God. This is the only way to become children of God. Is to make peace with yourself and make peace with others. That's the only way to become spiritual children of God. Blessed are the peacemakers, because they shall be called children of God. You're not a child of God if you don't make peace. That's with anybody. That's with your worst enemy. That's with your most hated person that you hate the most. Even though that person is hateful. Even though that person is not peaceful. You have to make peace in yourself with that person. It's no getting around that. It's no getting around that. That's part of this, but it's no getting around what's written. If what is written, if you're not following what is written, you might as well just throw it out. Throw it out you're not following what is written, then that's not what you're following. You're following it because what is written is what is taught. What is written is what it should be taught, and what is intended, and what is expected. And what is expected is instructions that you have to follow. What is expected is where we're going to get to, the works thing, where it says works, where people believe you don't have to work. You don't have to do the work of the harvest. You don't have to work. You don't have to do nothing. You could just say with your lips that you believe and you're good. We're going to get to that. We're going to debunk that in this very chapter. He's teaching you teachings to follow. He's teaching you teachings to learn and demonstrate yourself. He didn't say the Messiah wasn't saying this stuff just because he has lips. He wasn't saying this stuff just for you to I'm whatever. I could just say I believe in this name and I'm good. And people take one, 2, 3 verses, misunderstand them, misread them, misinterpret them, and they'll live a whole ministry off of it. They'll live a whole ministry off of it, and that's the issue. It's not consistent with the rest of the writings. That's the problem. Lean not on your own understanding, but what's consistent throughout the whole writings. You can't dismiss the Father and claim that you know the Son. You can't dismiss the Father and claim that you know the Son. You can't dismiss his Father, the instructions of his Father, and claim that you know the Son, because the Son never did it, and we about to see this. Verse 10, blessed are those persecuted for righteousness' sake, because theirs is the kingdom of the heavens. What is righteousness' sake? What makes you righteous? What makes you righteous? What makes a person righteous is through obedience. What do you obey? The spiritual laws of God. You just saying something and typing something doesn't make you righteous. That's not what makes you righteous. It's literally the definition of our righteousness is literally found in this book. Deuteronomy chapter 6. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 20 to 25. Let's read it from the top, what our righteousness is. This is the definition of righteousness. And we're going to see that our righteousness is obedience. This is our righteousness. Not saying with your lips or typing with your fingers something. That's not your righteousness. This is your righteousness. Let Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 20 to 25. This is the definition that's used throughout every other book. That's used by everyone in the other books. Everyone understood this definition. Verse 20. When your son asks you in time to come, saying, what is the meaning of the witness and the laws and the right rulings, which Yahuwah our Elohim has commanded you? Verse 21. Then you should say to your son, we were slaves of Pharaoh in Mizraim, and Yahuwah brought us out of Mizraim with a strong hand. Verse 22. And Yahuwah sent signs and wonders and great and grievous upon Mizraim, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes. Verse 23. And he brought us out from there to bring us in to give us the land of which we swore to our fathers. Verse 24. And Yahuwah commanded us. Commandments as in commanded us. Yahuwah commanded us. Yahuwah commanded us to do all these laws. God commanded us to do all these laws. God, not man, God commanded us to do all these laws, to fear Yahuwah, to fear our God, to fear our Elohim, for our good always, for our own good. So following instructions is for your own good. So you're not lying for your own good. You're not false witnessing. That's a command. That's an instruction that you're telling people not to do, by the way. You're telling people that they don't have to not lie. You're telling people that they're not to unalive people, because that's a commandment. That's an instruction. You're telling people that they're not to honor their parents, because that's the instruction. That's a command. That's the commandment. You're telling people, when you're telling people that we don't have to follow instructions, it is not by works, you're basically telling them to be lawless. And we're going to see what the Messiah says about those people, where he going to tell people, I never knew you. Depart from me, those who work lawlessness. So you can bring up ancient brothers, writings of ancient brothers all you want. It's what God said and what his only begotten son said. Is what God said and what his only begotten son said. So you're a follower of our ancient brothers more than you're a follower of the actual son of God, who our ancient brothers followed. And you just misinterpret what they wrote. You just misread what they wrote. You thought that they were talking about the laws of God. You thought that, let me finish reading. And Yahuwah and God commanded us to do all these laws, to fear Yahuwah of our Elohim, for our good always. This is for our own good always. To keep us alive as it is today. Verse 25. And it is righteousness for us when we guard to do all this commands. I say it again. And it is righteousness for us when we guard to do. Do is an action. Do is works. Is it not? Is doing not an action? Is doing not works? And it is righteousness for us when we guard to do all this commands before Yahuwah our Elohim, as he commanded us. As he commanded us. So you can bring up our ancient brothers. So you're a believer in our ancient brothers. You're not a believer in God. Just say that. You're a believer in our ancient brothers. Of what you misunderstood and what you misread, what you thought our ancient brother was saying. You're more of a believer in our ancient brother than the actual Messiah, than the actual Son of God. than actual God and his words and what he said and what his only begotten son said. Let's see what his only begotten son said. Fast forward, now that we know that our righteousness is to be obedient and to do what was commanded, let's get back to what we were reading, that our Messiah was saying, that the only begotten son said himself, that everyone who claimed to believe and follow, this is what he said himself. Let's get back to that. Blessed are those who persecuted for, blessed are those persecuted for righteousness' sake. Blessed are those persecuted for righteousness' sake, for being obedient, because theirs is the reign of the heavens. Theirs is the reign in the heavens. When you're obedient, you have the access to the kingdom. When you're persecuted for being obedient, not for you just doing you, not for you just being you, not for you just saying with your lips that you believe, not with you just going somewhere every Sunday and doing you afterwards. Verse 11, blessed are you when they reproach and persecute you and falsely say every wicked word against you for my sake. Not for your own sake, not for you just being you, not for you just doing you, for his sake, meaning what he teaches, what he's teaching us. If they're saying falsely false and wicked things against you, if they're making up false words against you and wicked words against you for being humble, if they're making up false things and words against you and wicked words against you for mourning for others, if they're making up false words against you and wicked words against you for being friendly and meek, if they're making up false words against you and wicked words against you for being obedient, if they're making up false words against you and wicked words against you for being compassionate, if they're making up false words against you and wicked words against you for being a peacemaker, if they're making up false words against you and wicked words against you for that, then it's for his sake. It's for the sake of what he's teaching us. For the sake of what he's taught us. It's not for your sake of you and you going to this building every Sunday. It's not for the sake of you saying with your lips that you believe, but your actions is doing you. It's not for the sake of you saying, you have faith, but your actions show that you don't have faith. You trusting in man. You trust in yourself. You have faith in yourself. You have faith in your leaders, your political leaders. You're not blessed for being persecuted for doing that. You're blessed for being persecuted for doing what the Messiah has told you to do. What the only begotten Son has told us to do. So let's make that clear. Verse 12, rejoice and be glad, because your reward in heaven is great. For in this way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. In this way that he's teaching, that the Messiah is teaching, that the only begotten Son of God is teaching, that the one everyone claims to believe and claims to know his name and claim to follow and claim to have faith in and claim to have a relationship, in this way that he's teaching, they persecuted the prophets of old who were before you. The prophets who you claim is obsolete, and what they did was obsolete, and their prophecies were obsolete, and their instructions, that the instructions of God that they followed, was obsolete and no longer followed and no longer needed and no longer required. In this way, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, the teachings of the Messiah that begin from verse 2. The book of Matthew, chapter 5, where his teachings begin in verse 2. And he's teaching, he's going to be teaching this from chapter 5, verse 2 to chapter 7, verse 28. That's where we're going. This is the same Messiah that everyone claims to believe in and claims to have a relationship and claims to know his name and have faith in and trust in and believe in. This is the same person saying that in this way that he's teaching, they persecuted the prophets of old. They persecuted the prophets who were before you. So if they persecuted the prophets who were before you in this way, and that way must have been following the instructions of God, because the prophets of old followed the instructions of God. The prophets of old obeyed the laws of God. So how are you getting that twisted? How can you get that twisted? How can you get this mixed up when the Messiah himself, when the only begotten Son himself, the person everyone claims to know his name, everyone claims to say his name and be saved, everyone claims to believe in, everyone claims to follow, everyone claims to have a relationship with, if he's saying himself that in this way that he's teaching, he's telling you to rejoice and be glad. This is verse 12. This is verse 12. He says, rejoice and be glad because your reward in the heavens is great. For in this way that he's teaching, they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So if they persecuted the prophets who were before us in the way that he's teaching, and the prophets before us followed the instructions of God, what makes you think the way that he's teaching is not the instructions of God? What would make you think, which we're going to get to, that you shouldn't even think it, that what he's teaching is not the instructions of God, if the same way that he's teaching, they persecuted the prophets before us? I don't know how you're mixing this up. I don't know how it's false thinking. And I'm going to continue reading to make sense of it. So because he knew, the Messiah knew that it would be people who think like this. And if you weren't in my last live, you would have seen me break it down in Isaiah chapter 28. I want to say chapter 28 or 29, where he spoke on how people will want to hear smooth words. And they say with their lips that they know him. They say with their lips that they're with him, but they're far from him. Their actions are far from it. And all they want to hear is smooth words. Dig this, right? Verse 13, you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt becomes tasteless, how should it be seasoned? For it is no longer of any use, but to be thrown out and to be trodden down by men. So you're no longer of any use, and you're no longer have season if you're not humble. If you're not poor in spirit, like he spoke from in the beginning of this chapter. This is chapter 5, by the way, the book of Matthew. You're no longer of any use to him, and you're no longer seasoned if you're not poor in spirit, meaning humble. You're no longer of any use to him, and you're no longer seasoned if you're not mourning for others, meaning having empathy for others. You're no longer of any use to him, and you're no longer seasoned if you're not meek and friendly and approachable. You're no longer of any use to him, and you're no longer seasoned if you're not obedient, because we know righteousness is obedience. Obedience is righteousness. From what we read, from what I just read in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 25, that's the definition of our righteousness, is to follow the instructions of God. To do the commands of God. Do the commands of God is righteousness. That's the definition of righteousness all throughout this whole book. That's the definition of righteousness. Deuteronomy chapter 6, go look it up yourself, verse 25. You're no longer of any use to him if you're not doing the commands of his father, following the instructions, and that's what makes that's our righteousness. So you're no longer of any use of him. You're no longer seasoned if you're not doing that. You're no longer of any use to him if you're not compassionate. You're no longer of any use to him if you're not a peacemaker. You're no longer of any use to him. For it is no longer of any use but to be thrown out and to be trodden down by men. You become salt that melts snow, that melts ice, to be trodden down by men. That's the kind of salt you become. You know, if you're not a peacemaker, if you're not compassionate, if you're not obedient, if you're not friendly, meek, if you're not mourning for others and having empathy, if you're not humble and poor in spirit, you no longer are salt that's seasoned, that's used to be seasoned. You become salt that's trodden down by men that they throw out for the ice, to melt the ice. You're no longer of any use. This is the book of Matthew, by the way, chapter 5. We're talking about the teachings of the Messiah. These are the teachings of those who claim to know his name. These are the teachings of those who claim to believe. These are the teachings of the only begotten Son of God. These are the teachings of those who claim that they are saved by. These are his teachings that begin in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 2. Literally says this, the beginning of his teachings. Verse 2. And he's going to continue teaching all the way till chapter 7, where it will, verse 28, where it will literally say these are the end of his teachings. It will literally say that. Let's continue. You are the light of the world. It is impossible for a city to be hidden on a mountain. Verse 15. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it shines to all those in a house. Verse 16. Let your light so shine before men, so that they see your good works. So that they see your good works and praise your Father who is in the heavens. So that they see your good works and praise your Father who is in the heavens. So those who are in the false understanding or the strong delusion that it's not by works, or it doesn't require works. This is from the mouth of the Messiah himself. This is from the one who you claim to know his name. This is from the one who you claim to have faith in. This is from the one you claim to be saved by. He's literally saying your works, your good works, so that they see your good works. So that they see your good works and praise your Father who is in the heavens. But yet you have people who misunderstand or misread and misled and misinterpret that there's no works required. But yet the Messiah himself that everyone should have followed, every ancient brother that they misinterpret, every modern brother or sister that they're misled by, should follow. The same person that they claim to be saved by and follow and know their name and saved by his name, he's telling you that by works. He's telling you that your works need to be seen. Let your light so shine before men so that they see your good works. He's letting you know that your works have to be seen. Your works have to be seen. This is him saying, this is the Messiah himself. So that they praise your Father who is in the heavens. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 16. It literally says it is literally recorded that he needs to see your good works. Verse 17. Let's see what he means. Let's expound on that. Verse 17. Do not think, do not think, do not even think, do not even think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. What is the Torah? The Torah is the instructions of God. So he's telling you, don't even think that I came to destroy the instructions of God. Don't even think it. But yet you have millions, billions of people thinking this. When the Messiah himself told you not even think that he came to destroy the instructions of his Father. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. Meaning fulfill, and to carry out, and to follow, and to demonstrate. This is what he meant by this. Do not think. Do not even think. Do not think. Don't let it come to your mind. Don't let anybody, don't let no one make you think that I came to destroy the instructions of God, is what he's saying. Do not let anyone make you think that I came to destroy the prophecies of the prophets of God. Do not let anyone make you think this. This is what he said. This is what he's saying. Do not think that I came to destroy the Torah, which literally means instructions. The Torah that literally means instructions. Do not think that I came to destroy the Torah, literally means instructions, or the prophets, the prophecies of the prophets of God. I did not come to destroy, but to complete, meaning follow the instructions of God, demonstrate the instructions of God, and fulfill the prophecies of the prophets of God. This is all he came to do. This is what he came to do. So don't think that he came to do anything different. Don't think that he came to do anything different. He didn't. He came to follow the instructions of God, demonstrate the instructions of God, show you how they are to be followed, show you how they are to be demonstrated, and fulfill the prophecies of the prophets of God. That's what he came to do, and that's what he's done. Verse 18. For truly I say to you, till the heaven and the earth pass away, one yod or one title shall by no means pass from the Torah till all be done. Till all be done. Not one word or sentence shall pass from the instructions of God till all be done. He's telling you this. He's telling you you're wrong. His literal word is telling you that you're wrong. If you think that he came to destroy the instructions of God, if you think that the instructions of God, or if you think that good works, where he says he needs to see your good works, he literally says he needs to see your good works in verse 16, and he literally says that he didn't come to destroy the instructions of God in verse 17. Then he goes on in verse 18 to take it a step further to let you know, like, yo, the earth and the heavens will pass away. Until the earth and the heavens pass away, meaning until you see those stars fall that was prophesied, until you see that sun go dark that was prophesied, until you see that moon go dark that was prophesied, the instructions of God is still required till all of that is done. Verse 19. Whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands and teaches men so shall be called least in the kingdom of the heavens. What does he mean by this? So these commands that he's commanding us, whoever breaks the least of these but teaches men to do so, they will be the least in the kingdom. But because you've fallen short to the least. Maybe you may fall short of being humble. You may fall short of mourning for others. You may fall short of being friendly. You may fall short of being compassionate. You may fall short of being a peacemaker or whatever the case may be. But this is required of you. But you're teaching that you should be a peacemaker. You're teaching that you should be compassionate. You're teaching that you should be obedient. You're teaching that you should be friendly. You're teaching that you should mourn for others. You're teaching that you should be humble. You will be the least in the kingdom, but at least you're in the kingdom. But at least you're in the kingdom because you're teaching that you should be doing this and that others should be doing this, although you may find yourself falling short to it. But you're not telling others, you're telling others the right thing to do. You should do this even though I've struggled at doing this. You should do this even though I struggle with doing this. You should, this is what I should be doing. This is what we should be doing. But I'm going to be real with you. I struggle with this. This is what makes you the least in the kingdom, because you're teaching that, like, man, even though I struggle with this, we should be doing this, man. Even though I struggle with this, we should be doing this. Even though I struggle, you're not pulling the wool over someone's eyes. Oh, he loved you anyway. Oh, saved anyway. You're not lying to people. You're not feeding that garbage. You're not feeding people that garbage and saying they can continue doing them and they're saved anyway because they think they know a name. Because they think they know, and they know the Son of God. But they don't follow the Son of God. They don't follow his examples. They don't follow his instructions. They don't follow his lessons, his teachings. They don't follow his demonstrations. You're not doing that. That's not. So this is what makes you the least in the kingdom, because you're teaching his teachings, you're teaching his lessons, you're teaching his examples, you're teaching his demonstrations, even though you may fall short to some of these things, the least of these things, not the greatest of the greater of these things. You're falling short to least of these things. But yet you're teaching others that you should be doing this and we should be doing this and you should be better and you want to get better. And how they should be better and they should, come on, man. Listen, at least you're in the kingdom. You will be known as the least in the kingdom. How do we know this? Because he take it a step further. But whoever does and teaches them shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So if you're doing all that he's teaching us, if you're doing all that he's instructing, and you're also teaching it, you will be called great in the kingdom. You will be known as great in the kingdom because you earned that. You earned that greatness because you weren't only teaching what he taught, you were doing what he was teaching. You were not only following his instructions, you were teaching his instructions. You were not only following his examples and his demonstrations, you were teaching his demonstrations and examples. This is what makes you great in the kingdom. Most people don't even believe there's a kingdom. They actions clearly shows it. Because if they believed in the kingdom, they would be doing what was asked of them to get there. Not saying what they believe they have to say to make others believe that they're going to get there. They want to appear to others like they're going there. This is what most people want to look. They want to look like they're going to heaven. They want to look like they want to sound like they're going to the kingdom. It is something that they want to say to themselves to make themselves feel better and make others look to them, like, it's sad, man. I get it, but I just don't accept it. I get it, but I don't accept it. I don't accept it. It's unacceptable. Verse 20, for I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall by no means enter into the reign of the heavens. You shall by no means enter into the kingdom of heavens. Unless your righteousness, what is your righteousness? Remember, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 25, that is our righteousness. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 25, that is our righteousness. Remember what our righteousness is. It's obedience. It's doing the commands of God. So unless your righteousness, doing the commands of God, exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall by no means. This is the Messiah. This is the Messiah. The words of the Messiah. You shall by no means enter into the kingdom of heavens. You shall by no means enter into the kingdom of heavens. This is what he said. I didn't say this. This is what everyone who claimed to believe in his name said. This is what everyone who claimed to be saved by his name said. For I say to you that unless, this is what the Messiah said. This is what the only begotten Son of God said. For I say to you that unless your righteousness, meaning doing the commands of God, unless that exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, what they were doing, you shall by no means enter into the kingdom of heaven. I'm not, you can't make this up. I can't make this up. You can't get around this. This debunks everything that most people are pushing who wants to hear what is smooth. They want to hear what is easy. Chapter 5 of Matthew, verse 16 to verse 20 debunks the whole idea that is not by works. The whole idea that you don't have to follow instructions of God. The whole idea that the instructions of God is done away with and obsolete. The whole idea that righteousness is not obedience, meaning righteousness is not doing the commands of God. This debunks all of that. How do we get our righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees? He's about to teach us. This is where he's going to continue teaching us. Everything that he's taught us from this point, he's going to continue teaching us how to get our righteousness to exceed that of the scribes and the Pharisees in order for us to enter into the kingdom. Verse 21, you heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not murder. We heard this. The scribes and the Pharisees heard this. We should continue to observe this. And whoever murders shall be liable to judgment. But I say to you, this is what the Messiah says to us in order for us to get our righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees. This is what the Messiah is saying to us. But he says, but I say to you that whoever is rough, meaning angry with his brother, without a cause, shall be liable to judgment. And whoever says to his brother, so before I get into that, so anyone who is angry with his brother or sister without a cause, key word, without a cause. You're just jealous of somebody without a cause. You're envious of someone without a cause. You don't like someone without a cause. You just don't like a person, a stranger. You don't like them, or someone you even know. You don't like them. You don't have a cause for not liking them. You're angry with them for no reason. This is you're liable to judgment. You're making yourself liable to judgment on judgment day. And whoever says to his brother Raka, we heard this, the scribes and the Pharisees, this is what they would avoid calling each other. Raka, whatever that means. The scribes and the Pharisees will avoid calling each other Raka because they'll be liable to the Sanhedrin. But what the Messiah is saying to you in order for get your righteousness to exceed that scribes and the Pharisees and enter into the kingdom, this is what he says. But whoever says you fool shall be liable to the fire of Gehenna. And you fool could be any harsh word, anything you call someone out of their name coming from an ill, wicked place of your heart, from a hateful place of your heart. Anything you call somebody out of their name coming from a ill-willed place of your heart make you liable to the fire of Gehenna. Unless you rebuke it and repent of it. Unless you rebuke it and repent of it. Basically, get out of the habit of it. Get out of the habit of calling people out of their name, from a wicked place of the heart of your flesh. Get out of the habit of hating people for no cause. Being angry with people without a cause. This is what makes you liable to the judgment. This is what makes you liable to the fire. Verse 23. If then you bring your gift to the slaughter place, and there remember that your brother holds whatever against you, your brother or your sister, you remember that your brother and sister hold something against you. If you're in your place of worship, you're gathering with other brothers and sisters in place of worship, or we're gathering in just a gathering, 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, or you're just gathering for worship anywhere, and you're gathered with your other brothers and sisters, and you're assembled with your other brothers and sisters, and you're congregating with your other brothers and sisters, but you remember that one of your brothers or one of your sisters, y'all have issues. You remember this, that you used to be there with them and y'all have issues. This is what he's telling you to do. Leave your gift there before the slaughter place, meaning leave that worship place, leave that place of worship, leave that congregation, that assembly, them other brothers and sisters, and go. First make peace with your brother or your sister. Go make peace with your brother and sister. Then come and offer your gift, meaning then come worship with your other brothers and sisters. You got to go first make peace with your one brother and sister that you got an issue with. First make peace with your other brother and sister that you got an issue with. And then come worship and gather and congregate with your other brothers and sisters. Verse 25, be well-minded with your opponent promptly while you are on the way with him, lest your opponent deliver you to the judge and the judge to the officer and you be thrown into prison. Verse 26, truly I say to you, you shall by no means get out of there till you have paid the last penny. So what the Messiah is telling you, pay the brothers and sisters that you owe. If you owe a brother, pay that person. Pay that brother. If you owe a sister, pay that sister. Don't have them feel the need to take matters in their own hands. Don't have them feel the need to take you to court. Don't have them feel the need to come take this money by force or come fuss at you for this money. Pay your brother and sister what you owe them before they try to take you to court or before they try to, take matters in their own hands and try to take something from you or get it themselves. They shouldn't have to go through all that. This is what the Messiah is saying. Pay what you owe your brother and sister because they rely on they depend on what you pay them. What you owe them. They rely on what you owe them. Verse 27. You heard that it was said to those of old, You shall not commit adultery. We heard this. The scribes and the Pharisees heard this. We should continue to observe this. But this is what the Messiah is telling us that in order for get our righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees and for us to enter into the kingdom. This is what he says. But I say to you that everyone looking at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So you've already committed adultery with a woman in your imagination when you're imagining being with a woman that you have no intentions on engaging to. You being engaged to. You're imagining being with a woman. You're imagining being with a woman. When you're looking at a woman and you're imagining being with her, but yet you're engaged to another woman. You're looking at a woman and you're imagining being with a woman, but yet she's engaged to another man. You're looking at a woman and you're imagining being with a woman, and neither one of y'all are engaged, but you have no intentions on engaging and being engaged to her. You just imagining being with her and you just want to be with her, as far as like lay down with her, and that's it. This is you committing adultery in your heart, in the heart of your flesh, in the heart of your imagination. Verse 29. And if your right eye causes you to stumble, pluck it out and throw it away from you. For it is better for you that one of your members perish than for your entire body to be thrown in the Gehenna. So what this means, he's not asking you to, he's not recommend you to do harm to your actual eye, because that will cause you to bleed out. This is more so, correct me if I'm wrong, Master, and I'm sure this is what you would rather someone do, is remove what it is that's causing them to their eyes to stumble, their spiritual eyes to stumble. Pluck out whatever it is that is causing you to stumble. Meaning, it may be a website, it may be an app, it may be a program, it may be a movie, it may be a show. Whatever you're watching that's causing you to stumble and causing you to sin, you need to pluck it out. That's what he's more so talking about. This is the parable that he's talking about. He's more so speaking on that. Get rid of that app. Get rid of the website. Get rid of whatever it is that you're watching that will cause you to stumble. Only if it causes you to stumble. Literally, what causes most men to stumble is XXX, me, myself included. XXX videos is what causes most men to stumble. And we have to pluck it out. We have to get rid of it. We have to get it out of our sight. We have to get it out of our sight. We have to pluck it out. And, to avoid our entire body being thrown in the Gehenna. So the least we could do is pluck that out of our lives. Do our best to get to avoid it, get rid of it, push for it to be getting rid of. Yeah, you gotta. Hey, man. The day that they get rid of it completely, that'll make it easier for men. That'll make it easier for men who follow the lessons, the teachings, the demonstrations, and the examples of the only begotten Son of God, who wants to become spiritual children and make it into the spiritual kingdom. So whatever it is that's causing you to stumble, whatever you're watching that's causing you to stumble, pluck it out. Not your actual eye, your spiritual eye. Pluck out what is causing you to stumble. What you're watching, whatever it is that you're watching. Verse 30. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away from you. For it is better for you that one of your members perish than for your entire body to be thrown into the Gehenna. What does he mean by this? He's talking about if your right hand man or your right hand woman, if anyone is close to you or within in the body of Christ, or within those you gather with, your brother or sister, is leading others to astray or leading others to, sin and stumble, what they're doing is influencing others. What they're doing is influencing others. This is the Torah. This is the book of Matthew, by the way. This is the book of Matthew, and Torah means instructions. Torah means teachings. So these are instructions of God that the Messiah is teaching. This is the book of Matthew, and his teachings begin in chapter 5, verse 2. And they're going to continue being teachings till the end of chapter 7, verse 28. So this is to give you context. This is the book of Matthew. And these are the instructions of his Father in the teachings and the lessons and the demonstrations and examples that he's literally teaching us from chapter 5 to chapter 7. So that explains the context. But if a brother or sister is causing you to stumble, you have to cut these people off before they influence the rest of the body, meaning that in the rest of the body be thrown in the Gehenna, the rest of the body of the Messiah, the rest of the brothers and sisters, before before their influence breaks out. You have to cut these people off. If they trying to get you to do this, they try to get you to do what is unclean. They're trying to get you to go to places, that you shouldn't go, or do things that you shouldn't be doing. They're trying to seduce you to do these things or go these places. You got to cut these people off. That's what he's talking about by cutting off your right hand man, cutting off your right hand woman. Not your actual hand, because he don't want you to bleed out. That's what would happen. So he's not talking about, he's talking about your spiritual, he's talking about the one who has close to you. You're like your brother or your sister, those who are close to you. The people, anybody that is close to you, that is causing you to stumble, that's seducing you to sin. Anyone who's close to you, seducing you to sin and seducing you to stumble, cut these people off is what he's talking about. Verse 31, and it has been said, whoever puts away his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. A certificate of divorce. We heard this. The scribes and the Pharisees heard this. We continue to observe this. But this is what the Messiah says, to take it a step further, to put in it, because the scribes and the Pharisees were being slick with this. They were divorcing their wives for any old thing, any old reason. Divorcing their wives because they no longer find them attractive. Divorcing their wives because they no longer got along with their wives. Divorcing their wives because they found someone else attractive. This is what the scribes and Pharisees were doing, divorcing their wives for any old reason. This is what modern day scribes and Pharisees and people of today are divorcing their wives, because they no longer can get along with them, because they no longer find them attractive, because they find someone else attractive. This is what they're divorcing. Why? This is what the Messiah basically say you're not to do this. This is how you get your. This is what the scribes and the Pharisees were doing, and this is what you have to. This is what you have to do to get your righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees in order to enter the kingdom, like he said in verse 20 of this chapter. This is what he says. But I say to you that whoever puts away his wife, except for the matter of whoring, makes her commit adultery. And whoever marries a woman who has been put away commits adultery. So this is what he says. This is what the Messiah says. This is what the Messiah is telling us. that except for the matters of whoring, meaning that's the only exception to divorce. That's the only way to divorce your wife is that she committed that she basically laid with another man. She slept with another man. That's what the matter of whoring is. It's sleeping with another man. That's what the matter of whoring is loving another lover, sleeping with another lover. I'm living proof of this. Not this. Yes, I could say in a sense of this of this very verse that I'm on, but all of these words is I'm living proof of it. I'm sure if you looked a little harder in your life, in your own lives, you would be living proof of these words that are written. Not just what that I'm on now with the divorce, but everything that is written in these books, everything that is written in the scripture. If you looked a little harder, instead of trying to ignore it and dismiss it if it was just happen chance, or if it was just you just stumbled and everything is by coincidence. You know what I mean? No, it's no coincidence, man. It's not random. Nothing is random. None of this is random. None of what happened in your life is none of what is happening in your life is random. But I'm off that. If you don't believe, continue on in your destruction. If you don't believe there's a volcano in this world that's looking to have you. There's a volcano full of lava that's looking to have you. You know? That's what you're gambling with. Is that. That's what you're taking a gamble on. You got it. But I continue. There's no other reason and there's no other way that you can divorce your wife. The only exception is her laying with another man. You can't divorce her because she's no longer attractive to you. You can't divorce her because you can't get along. Y'all don't get along anymore. You can't divorce her because you're attracted to this other woman. You can't divorce her because of that. I'm not saying this. This is the Messiah saying this. This is the only begotten Son. This is the one who everyone believes that they know his name, believe in his name, saved by his name, trust in him. This is what he's saying. Verse 33, again, but yet you have preachers, pastors, countless preachers, pastors, and ministers who've divorced their wives. And I'm not necessarily sure it was for reasons of their wives sleeping with other men or another man. So if they divorced their wives other than for the reason of them sleeping with other men, they were wrong. These pastors were wrong. These ministers were wrong. These preachers were wrong. Verse 33, again, you heard that it was said to those of old, you should not swear falsely, but should perform your oaths to Yahuwah. You should continue to observe this, like to cut out all the oaths. This is what the Messiah said. This is what he's saying. In order for us to get our righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees and enter into the kingdom. But I say to you, this is what he says, but I say to you, do not swear vainly at all, neither by the heaven, because it is Elohim's throne, it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, nor by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great kings. Verse 36, nor swear by the head, because you are not able to make one hair white or black. Verse 37, but let your word yes be yes, and your word no be no. And what goes beyond these is from the wicked one. So anything beyond this is finessing. Anything beyond this is from the ancient knowledge of evil. Anything beyond this is working your craft. Anything beyond this is gaslighting. Anything beyond this is, from the enemy. It's from the wicked one. This is what he said. It's from the father of lies. If you go anywhere, if you have to go any further than answering someone yes, yes, or no, no, or what you having to explain and get into trying to prove, and if they don't believe it, they don't believe it. Ain't meant for them to believe. If they don't believe, it ain't meant for them to believe. If they don't trust it, it ain't meant for them to trust. Don't go. You don't have to say more than yes, and you don't have to say more than no. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything beyond this is from the evil one, the wicked one, the enemy, the ancient knowledge of evil. This is when you finessing, and this is when you start finessing. You start trying to, make someone believe. And that's just doing too much. Verse 38. You heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. We heard this. The scribes and Pharisees heard this. This is what most people live by today. Most modern day scribes and Pharisees. Most people today are modern day scribes and Pharisees. And they all live by this. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. This is what the scribes and the Pharisees live by. Get in there, get back. Getting even. Getting their lick back. This is what most people of today live by. Getting their lick back. Getting even. But this is what the Messiah said, in order for our righteousness to exceed that of the scribes and the Pharisees, in order to enter into the kingdom. This is what he says. But I say to you, do not resist the wicked. Do not resist the wicked, meaning don't run from the wicked. Don't run when you come encounter with these people, because you already in it. If you shouldn't find yourself encounter with a person that's about to do this. But when you do, don't run. He says, but I say to you, do not resist the wicked, meaning don't run, because that's cowardly, and cowardly don't make it into the kingdom. That's written. So don't run. That's what don't resist mean. Don't run. But whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to him also. As if, now this is hard for people to accept. This is hard for most to accept. Most are not going for that. Me, myself included, I struggle. So I don't put myself in positions and places where I can be slapped. I don't talk. The quickest way to get slapped by a person is you talking about people. You making fun of people, making up stories about people, you owing people money, you taking from people, you sleeping with their spouse. These are the quickest ways to getting slapped by people. You avoid doing these things, you won't find yourself getting slapped by people. So I don't do things or put myself in places where people, to get slapped. I don't put myself in predicaments or positions to get slapped. So I don't have to be tempted to slap somebody back. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not. But when you do find yourself in a predicament where you're slapped, the Messiah is looking for you to turn other cheek, as if you're a superhero and the villain slapped you, and you have to look and like, is that all you got? Not say it with your word, but you have to give them a look as if, is that all you got? This is what the Messiah is requiring you to do. It's to turn to them the other cheek. Is that all you got? I'm not trying to get into all that. So I avoid, and I recommend others to avoid doing things to get you slapped. Avoid saying things that'll get you slapped. Avoid going places where people who are out of their, out of their rationale slap people. Irrational people slap people. I don't go around irrational people. And the quickest, the places where irrational people be, bars, clubs, you know, these social events, these social places, these public, this is where, the quickest way, where there's drinking, strong drink, where there's strong drink to drink. That's a place where these people hang out, and they have no control over themselves, and you're likely to get slapped. You're likely to be slapped. You know what I'm saying? Exactly, man. These the kind of people, if you go around them, you're increasing your chances of getting slapped, man. And you want to have your chances of getting slapped. You want to have the least chances of getting slapped. You want to give yourself the least chance of getting slapped, and you want to go in places where there's the least possibility of you getting slapped in these places. Go treat yourself to a movie. Go treat yourself to a dinner, restaurant. When you find yourself in places where people are drinking strong drink, you're subjecting yourself to turning the other cheek, being asked to turn the other cheek. Verse 40, and he who wishes to sue you and take away your inner garment, let him have your outer garment as well. So this is basically trying to get you to basically deny the flesh. This is what the Messiah, whole thing, his teachings is all about, is basically to humble you. That's his very first teaching was being poor in spirit, humility. And it's been consistent from this point. You're going to see how humility is his whole, is his main, his main goal of those, out of those who claim to follow and wants to become spiritual children. Spiritual children are not concerned with the flesh. It's the flesh that wants to slap a person back who slapped the flesh. When you slap the flesh, it's the flesh that feels that. The spirit doesn't feel that. The spirit is not affected by that. Your spirit self is not affected by that. Your spirit self, it's the flesh that feels that. And this is why he wants you to, tap into your spirit, your child of God, your spiritual child of God, because the spiritual child of God can turn the other cheek. Your spiritual child of God can turn the other cheek. It's your flesh that can. Also, and he who wishes to sue you and take away your inner garment, let him have your outer garment. It's your flesh that doesn't want to if somebody took something from you, you don't want to let them have anything else. You don't want to let them borrow anything else. It's your flesh that doesn't want to let nobody borrow anything else. It's the spiritual child of God is like, man, I don't care. Even though you took my pants, you take the shirt that go with it. It's the spiritual child of God that's not concerned with what's the matters of the flesh. The flesh, it's the spiritual child of God that's not concerned with the flesh and the matters of the flesh. So he's trying to teach us to become spiritual children of God. So he's like, basically like, yo, when someone takes your garment, your outer garment, let them have the inner garment. Someone takes your inner garment, let them have the outer garment that goes with it. Take that too. That demonstrates you to be a spiritual child of God that's not concerned with the flesh and not operating in the flesh, not concerned with the flesh and the matters of the flesh and what's made for the flesh and by the flesh and for the flesh. Here's another example. Verse 41, and whoever compels you to go 1 mile, go with him too. So it's like, yo, someone asks you to do something. Most people who are in the flesh, they don't feel like doing it. Most people who are in the flesh don't feel like doing it. It's the spiritual child of God is like, yo, man, not only would I do it, but what else do you need me to do? That's the spiritual child of God. Most flesh is like, man, I don't feel like that. Most flesh, that's the first instinct of what comes to your mind when someone asks you to do something. Go to the store for them. Here's an example. I can't even share that because I have to keep that. Only reason I have to keep that to myself because I don't want to block my blessing. But you're blessed when you don't share what you do when you do things like that. So but when you do things like this and you show and demonstrate yourself to be a spiritual child of God. You show and demonstrate yourself to be a spiritual child of God when your flesh don't feel like doing it, but your spiritual child says we're doing it anyway. Not only are we doing it for you, we're going to ask you what it is. What else do you need me to do? 99% of the flesh, 99% of people don't want to do what someone asks them to do. A favor. Go somewhere. Go somewhere with them. Go somewhere for them. Especially like even if like say your parents need you to go to the store for them. They need you to do something with them. They need you to do something for them. Most flesh are like, I don't feel like, or try to make up an excuse, try to make something up. That's natural. That's the instinct of the flesh. That's the nature of the flesh. It's to find a way to get out of it. Immediately find a way to get out of it. Immediately find an excuse to get out of it. That's the nature of the flesh. But it's the nature of the spirit to deny the nature of the flesh and say, all right, I'm going to do it anyway. What do you need me to do? Not only are you asking that, but what else do you need me to do? This is what shows you to be a spiritual child of God, that you've tapped in to your true identity, which is the spiritual child of God, the breath of life spirit within. This is what the Messiah needs to see out of us. He needs to see. Here's another example. Verse 42. Give to him who asks of you, and from him who wishes to borrow from you, do not turn away. Give to him who asks of you, and from him who wishes to borrow from you, do not turn away. This is another example of what the flesh does not want to do. The flesh does not want to let you borrow anything. The flesh does not want to let anyone borrow. The nature of the flesh is to immediately make up an excuse on how to not let someone borrow something. The nature of the flesh is to immediately think of a way to, say, I don't have it. I don't got it. Now, granted, if what you have has to go to rent, bills, mortgage, if that's due, granted, you literally don't have it to give. But if you have something saved and you got savings and you have investments, you have it. You actually have it. When you have something saved and you have investments, you have it to let someone borrow. It's the same sense. If they don't pay you, it's the same sense. It's like, that's where it said in verse 40, and he who wishes to sue you and take away your inner garment, let him have your outer garment as well. It's your opportunity to show yourself to show yourself to be a spiritual child of God, to let them borrow it again anyway. Even if they owed you already. Trust me, this is tough for me as well. Just like I don't put myself in a predicament to get slapped, I don't put myself in a predicament to let someone borrow after they already owe me. I don't make myself, I honestly don't, I truly, to be honest with you, I don't make myself available. I don't put myself in most cases, they're not going to ask you if they already owe you. They're not going to, most cases, people are not going to ask you if they know they already owe you. And it's like, and if you honestly have something due, you honestly don't have it. That don't belong to you. What you have don't even belong to you. It belongs to whoever it's due. Whatever bills due, whatever rent due, whatever mortgage due, whatever so on and so on. Payment is due. So it literally don't belong to you. So you literally don't have it to give them. Truly don't have it. But if you have savings, if you have investments, you have it to let someone borrow, even if they don't pay you back. That's a blessing. You will be paid by the Most High. Believe that. Believe that. There's blessings that come with that. Don't tell anybody that they owe you neither. Don't tell anybody that they still owe you. And don't tell anybody that you gave them something else and they owe you more. I have to take that advice myself, because I got a habit of grumbling about what people owe me. And it is a blocking of the blessing when you get to telling people that somebody owe you. Don't tell nobody from this point on. We can't. Don't tell nobody that somebody owe us. Don't tell nobody. And that would quicken your blessing. That would quicken your reward from the Most High Himself, which we're going to read. We're about to read into the next chapter. So yeah, it takes the spirit of the children of, it's the spiritual child of God within you to, dismiss what your flesh wants to do, which is not let nobody borrow. It's your flesh that be like, man, I already gave you something, or you didn't pay me back yet. It's the flesh that wants to think that way. It's the spiritual child of God that's not concerned with the money at all. It's not concerned with the treasures of the earth. It's concerned with the treasures laid up in heaven. And the quickest way to add to your heavenly, your kingdom account, add to the treasures that you save up in heaven, is by letting them borrow again. It's by letting someone borrow. As tough as that may be. That's the matters of the flesh. The matters of the flesh is they're taking advantage of the flesh. And it's the flesh that's responding like that. The Supreme Spirit don't care about none of that. The advantage of being taken, the Supreme Spirit doesn't have no concern of that. The Supreme Spirit, and He wants to get Him and His only begotten Son wants you to get to a point where you're not concerned with being taken advantage of. This is why He said, if somebody wants to sue you, if someone wishes to sue you, take away your inner garment, let them have your outer garment as well. Is that not taking advantage? He wants you to get comfortable in being taken advantage of, because what you're being comfortable with is being comfortable in the spirit, that's the spirit within you, the spiritual child of God in you, that's not concerned with the flesh being taken advantage of. It's not concerned with that, because it trusts that it will come back. It trusts that it will come back. You're trusting in the unseen Supreme Spirit will reward you and repay you tenfold. You're trusting that the Most High will pay you back. You're trusting that the Most High will pay you back. You're not trusting the flesh. You're not trusting in flesh to pay flesh back. Flesh is flawed. Don't even be concerned with flesh paying you back. Be more so concerned with the spirit paying you back. The supreme spirit, the most high God paying you back. And we're about to read that. We're going to read that. First, but let's get into more examples. Let's get into what all this leads up to. What is the meaning of all this? And how I'm not making this up. How I'm not just speaking because I got lips and I'm on live. Verse 43, you heard that it was said, you should love your neighbor and hate your enemy. This is what the scribes and the Pharisees heard, and this is what they do. This is what they've done. This is what most people continue to do. Love their neighbor, hate their enemy. This is what the Messiah is telling you to do in order for you to get your righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees and enter into the kingdom. But I say to you, this is what the Messiah is saying to you, love your enemies. This is another example of what the flesh doesn't want to do. Flesh doesn't want to love their enemies. It's the spiritual child of God has no problem with this. But I say to you, love your enemies. Bless those cursing you. Do good to those hating you. And pray for those insulting you and persecuting you. Why do this? Why is he telling you to do this? Verse 45. So that you become sons of your Father who is in the heavens. Meaning children of your Father, so that you become children of your Father in the heavens, spiritual children of your Father. All of this, what he's taught so far is for you to become spiritual children of your Father in the heaven. All of this led up to you becoming spiritual children of your Father in the heaven, so that you become spiritual children of your Father in heavens, because he makes his sun rise on the wicked and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. So this is a clear indication that he needs you to show yourself different from the wicked. He needs you to show yourself different from the unrighteous. He needs you to show yourself, and this requires action. This requires you doing. This requires you following his instructions. This requires doing what he instructed, doing his commands, like what most people in the flesh don't want to do. Most people in the flesh want to deny and denounce and disregard. Oh, it's not by works, brother. Oh, it's not by works, brother. But yet the Messiah himself said in chapter 5 of Matthew, verse 16, let your light so shine before men so that they see your good works. So that they see your good works. Your good works have to be seen. And praise your Father who is in the heavens. But yet you have most people that's quick to say, oh, it's not by works, brother. What is this? Doesn't it take work to love your enemies? Is that not work? Is it not work to let someone borrow who asks of you? Is it not work to turn the other cheek? Is it not work to give someone your garment when they took something else from you? Is it not work to love your enemies and bless those cursing you and do good to those hating you and pray for those insulting you and persecuting you? Is that not works? It's no getting if you intend to enter into the kingdom. The kingdom is a spiritual realm. Flesh can't enter into a spiritual realm. concerns of the flesh and worries of the flesh and what annoys the flesh can't enter into the kingdom, a spiritual kingdom. So that's why he's trying to get you to be this way in order to you, because he's this way. He's the only begotten Son of God. This is how he was. He loved his enemies. He blessed those cursing him. He did good to those hating him. He prayed for those insulting him and persecuting him. He let those borrow, whatever if he had any turned off a cheek. He let someone have their inner God. This is the things that he did and things that he would do. So this is how you become children, spiritual children of God, like he's the only begotten Son of God. You have to be like the only begotten Son of God in order to make yourself a spiritual child of God. In order to become spiritual children of God, you have to love these enemies, man. Ain't no getting around it. And most people, 99% of faith, 99% of the faith community, belief community, ministry community, they disregard this. And this is the very thing that makes you become spiritual children of God. And so that you can actually call him your father. You can't call him your father if you're not doing what his only begotten Son did. You can't call this Supreme Spirit your father if you don't follow the examples and demonstrations of his only begotten Son. His only Son. You're only a child of God through his Son. And that's not just by saying with your lips that you believe in the name of his Son. That's just not by saying with your lips that you believe in his Son. No, you have to follow the examples of his Son. You have to follow the instructions of it, the demonstrations of his Son. You have to follow, that's how you become a spiritual child of God, through his only begotten Son. There's no other way through the Son but through him. That's what this means. That's what this means. There's no shortcuts. There's no detours. There's no there's no back roads to the kingdom. There's only one way, and that's through the ways of his Son. The way he treated people when he walked the earth. The way he would treat people if he was still in the flesh. You have to be that way. You have to treat people that way. And the toughest of it all, the toughest way of it all, the toughest of all his ways is loving your enemies. And this is where most will fall short. Most people who claim to believe, they can't love their enemies. They can't love these politicians. They can't love these entertainers. They can't love these leaders of the world. They can't love them. They can't bring themselves to love them. This is where lose a lot of people. This is where you lose a lot of people. When you get to this point of the teachings, when it all leads up to him saying, "Oh yeah, you got to love your enemies." People like, "Oh, check please." People looking for the exit. People are looking for the exit. It never fails. You get to telling someone that they gotta love their enemy. Oh no, I ain't into that. I ain't doing that. That's the flesh talking. That's the flesh speaking. That's the flesh thinking. That's the flesh feeling. And the flesh is the child of the enemy. The flesh is the child of the world. The flesh is the child of man. The child of man and the child of flesh, the child of the enemy, the child of the world can't make it into the kingdom. The kingdom is a spiritual realm. It's a spiritual kingdom. Only spiritual children of the spiritual father can enter. Verse 46. For if you love those loving you, what reward have you? Are tax collectors not doing the same too? So if you love those only loving you, what reward? What makes you different than someone that's wicked? What makes you different than from a tax collector? If you loving those who just love you, what makes you different from a tax collector or a wicked person or an unrighteous person? Unrighteous people love people who love them. Wicked people love people who love them. What makes you different? Because he makes his sun rise on those, on the wicked and the good. He makes his rain, he rains on the righteous and the unrighteous. He clearly needs to show you, he needs to see you show yourself different. Loving your enemies will show yourself different. You have to set yourself apart from the rest. For if you love those loving you, what reward have you? Are the tax collectors not doing the same too? Are the wicked people not doing, are the unrighteous not doing the same too? Are the wicked not doing the same too? And if you greet your brothers only, what do you do more than others? Are the tax collectors not doing so too? Are the unrighteous not greeting their brothers only too? Are the unrighteous not greeting their brothers only too? So this is clear proof that he wasn't just talking about you and your own people and people that look like you. And this is for people who look like you, and you have to only treat, he's not talking, you got brothers out there and sisters out there who believe that he's only talking about treating your people like this and being this way to your neighbor, like people that look like you. No, it's not just your neighbor, because you're not treating your neighbor and people that look like you. You don't get no reward for that. You're not doing anything different than what a wicked person does. You're not doing anything different than what an unrighteous person does. So, and this is a clear debunk. He clearly debunks that whole idea when he says, and if you greet your brothers only. So this is clear. This is a clear indication that it's not only for your brothers. A greeting is not only for your brothers. A loving is not only for your brothers or your own people. That's easy, loving your own brother. Loving your brothers only. And it's easy greeting your brothers only. You don't do no. Chapter 4, verse 48. Therefore, be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. What he means by being perfect is strive to perfect. Strive to perfect being this, being all this. Strive to perfect being this spiritual child of God. Strive to perfect it. Your flesh is imperfect. So he's not talking about your flesh being perfect. He needs that breath of life spiritual child of God within you to be perfect. To be perfect at acknowledging these teachings, at memorizing these teachings, at reminding yourself of these teachings, at reminding yourself of this. Keeping this top of mind in order for you to remind yourself to carry it out, to remembering it like, oh, it's almost like the saying, what will Yahushua do? What would the Messiah do? You see those keychains, but that's basically what you have to tell yourself all day. What would Mashiach do? What would the Messiah do? What will the only begotten Son do? The only begotten spiritual Son of God do? What will the only begotten spiritual Son of God do? How can I show myself to be a spiritual child of God to do the same? That's how you be you can't make this flesh perfect. You cannot make this flesh perfect. And anyone who try to appear like this flesh is perfect is fooling themselves and fooling people who choose to be fools. Fooling people who choose to be fooled. Anyone who making themselves believe that they're perfect in this flesh, holy in this flesh, only to show themselves that they don't love their enemies. Only to show later that they can't love their enemies. Only to show later that they can't let anybody borrow anything. Only to show later that they greet their brothers only. Their brothers only. They can't give nobody their inner garment after the person took their outer garment. They can't turn the other cheek. They got to get their tooth for a tooth and their eye for an eye. They got to get their lick back. But yet, they pop up in Sunday every talk that talk and appear that appearance as if they're holy but yet they can't stand this politician. They hate this politician. They can't stand this world leader. They hate this world leader. It's one thing to hate what they do, and that's what you have to bring yourself do. Hate what they do. Don't hate the sin, not the sinner. Hate the sin, not the sinner. Hate the evil, not the evildoer. We don't wrestle with flesh and blood, is what what most of them like to bring up. Our ancient brothers' words of we don't wrestle with flesh and blood, but yet you want to wrestle. You wrestle with this flesh and blood in your words. You wrestle with this flesh and blood in your emotions. You wrestle this flesh and blood in your. It's the evil. The ancient knowledge of evil is the enemy of all enemies. Ancient knowledge of evil is enemy number one. It's the actions. Hate the actions of people. Don't hate the person. Hate their actions. Don't hate the people. Love the people. Hate the evil. 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 This is where you want to get to. Verse 6, I got to move this along. Verse 6, chapter 6. Beware of doing your kind deeds before men. Beware of this. Doing your kind deed to be seen by men. In order to be seen by men. In order to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. This is the rewards. This is the rewards I was telling you about that you have to look forward to. But if you want to be seen by men that you're doing your good deed for the poor and the hungry and the sick and the homeless, you don't expect a reward from the Father in heaven. People getting their phones out and recording themselves feeding someone or giving money to someone or telling the news or it's being in the headlines that they've donated this. Don't expect no reward from the Most High. Verse 2, thus, when you do a kind deed, do not sound the trumpet before you as the hypocrites do, in the congregation and in the streets, to be praised by men. Truly I say to you, they have their reward. Their reward is the approval by men, their approval by people, people pleasing. Oh, they're a generous person, a philanthropist. They're this, that, and the third. That's the approval of people. That's all you will get. And he's calling you people like this a hypocrite. Verse 3. But when you do a kind deed, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Don't, and that's what I was speaking of earlier about the the right hand and all that, and how that's a parable. Your left hand and your right hand. The right hand basically don't let your right hand man know what your left hand done. And if your right hand man causes you to stumble, you got to cut it off. You got to cut him off. So this is clear proof that what I was saying earlier, that he don't literally want you to cut off your hand, but he spoke of it in the sense of your right hand person. This is clear proof of this, of what I was speaking of earlier being a parable of this. Don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Basically, don't let your left hand know that you let someone borrow. Let someone borrow, or you gave money to the poor, or gave food to the poor, or you gave clothes to the poor. Don't let nobody know that you did this. So that, it says, so that your kind deed shall be in secret. And your Father who sees in secret shall himself reward you openly. That's why you don't let nobody know that you let someone borrow money, or you don't let nobody know that someone owes you. You don't let nobody know that you gave food to the poor, money to the poor, clothing to the poor, so that the Supreme Spirit who sees it done in secret that nobody's seen will reward you openly, so everyone will see. Where everyone will see that you are clearly rewarded by the Most High. Where everyone will see that you are clearly blessed by the Most High. Let's move on. Verse 4. Verse 5. And when you pray, you should not be like the hypocrites. Who are the hypocrites? Who are the hypocrites? This is very important. For they love to pray, standing in the congregations and on the corners of the streets, to be seen by men praying, to be seen by other people praying. True, this is who the Messiah is calling the hypocrites. Truly I say to you, they have their reward. What is their reward? Oh, they're a prayer warrior. That's a prayer warrior. Pray for me, please, brother. Pray for me, please, sister. This is the approval. This is the only reward they will get from other people. People pleasers. People who are pleased. You don't get any reward from the Most High for doing this. I'm going to read it again. And when you pray, this is the Messiah's words, not my words, nobody else's words. And when you pray, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 6, by the way, verse 5. And when you pray, you shall not be like the hypocrites. Who are the hypocrites? This is his definition of the hypocrite. For they love to pray, standing in the congregations. These are the places of worship. And on the corners, wherever the corners may be, even on live. To be seen by men, to be seen by people. Praying. Truly I say to you, they have their reward. Prayer warriors. Oh, he's a prayer warrior. He prayed for me. She prayed for me. She's a prayer warrior. But you, when you pray, this is what he's telling you. You who follow me, you who believe in me, you who claim to know me, you who claim to have a relationship with me, this is what you do. But you, when you pray, go into your room, and having shut your door, pray to your Father. He's not saying pray to him. He says pray to your Father, because you are now spiritual children of his Father through what you're doing, doing what he told you to do. So now you could pray to your Father. Now you could call him your Father. if you're doing what he told you to do and how and what he's done. He's not saying pray to him. He says, go into your room, having shut your door, pray to your Father who is in secret place. And your Father who sees in secret shall reward you openly. This is how you get rewarded openly. So this is another way to be rewarded openly and blessed openly by the Most High himself. It's praying in secret, not in front of the camera, not in front of people. Praying in secret. Tell that person that you'll pray for them later in secret, because that's the Messiah's instruction. That's the Messiah's command. That's the Messiah's teaching. That's the Messiah's lesson. That's the Messiah's demonstration. And just to give you clear proof of this, later on in the chapters, what did he tell his disciples? Wait here while I go over there to pray. Did he not tell his disciples this? So this is things that he was doing himself. He was praying to his Father. He was praying to his Father in secret. This is what he was doing. So you can know that I'm not misinterpreting this and making this up and putting this together. You can read when he prayed, he went further. He went away from his disciples. Yo, y'all stay over here and watch. I'm going to go over there and pray. Therefore, verse 7, and when praying, do not keep on babbling. Therefore, when praying, do not keep on babbling like the nations. Who are the nations? And babbling, like, what do you mean by that? For they think that they should be heard for their many words. So not only should you not be praying in public and praying in front of people and praying in front of these cameras and praying in front of on your live and all that. Not only you should not be doing that, but you shouldn't be going on these long prayers. This is what he's saying. Don't continue babbling like the nations, for they think that they should be heard for their many words. So not only are we not to be praying in front of everybody, but we're not to be going on these long prayers, saying these long prayers, thinking that we'll be heard for our many words. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm not saying. This is not what I'm saying. This is what the Messiah is saying. So, yeah. Therefore, don't be like them. This is what he said in the very next verse. Therefore, do not be like them. Therefore, don't be like them. For your Father knows what you need before you ask him. For your Father knows what you need before you ask him. Therefore, don't be like them. He's telling you not to be like these people who pray these long prayers, babbling like the nations, thinking that they'll be heard for their many words. And he's telling you not to be like these people who pray standing in their congregations and on the street, on the corners of the streets, and even on their platforms, to be seen by men, to be seen by people. Don't be like them. He's called these people hypocrites. He went as far as to call them hypocrites. Therefore, don't be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him. Verse 9, this, then, is the way you should pray. Our Father, who is in the heavens, let your name be set apart. Let your reign come, your kingdom come. Let your desire be done. Let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. Forgive us of our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. And do not lead us into trial. Do not lead us into evil, but deliver us from the wicked one. Because yours is the kingdom, and the power and the glory forever and forever. Amen. This is how we pray in secret. This is what we pray in secret. The Father knows what we're praying for. Anything outside of this, the Father knows what we're praying for. And we just have to trust that we shall receive. And I know this is like something way different than what you were born into, what is being taught, what is being seen, and what all I can share with you is what the Messiah taught us to do, and what he taught us not to do. That most people are doing what he taught us not to do when he told us not to do. That's all I can share with you. I understand this is what most people are ignoring and what most people are doing anyway. I understand this. But it's through him. It's through his ways. It's through what he taught. That's what makes you a spiritual child to enter into the spiritual kingdom. It's not what they done. It's not what they taught. Even our ancient brothers. If they weren't doing what he did and what he said and what he taught, which I believe they have done, and they weren't perfect because they weren't Messiah. They weren't perfect because they weren't the Son of God. So they weren't perfect either. But we have his teachings. We have his lessons. We have his demonstrations. Verse 14, for if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father shall also forgive you. Verse 15, this is important. This is important. Verse 15. But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither shall your Father forgive your trespasses. So if you have to forgive in order to be forgiven. I know most people don't want to love their enemies. Most people don't want to forgive these people that they hate. You have to forgive them in your heart. You don't have to go as far as to reconciling with anybody. But you have to forgive in order to be forgiven. There's no getting around it. You don't have to reconcile with someone clearly is, someone that's unclean and unstable. But you have to forgive them. Verse 16, and when you fast, do not be sad-faced like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces so that they appear to be fasting to men. Truly I say to you, they have their reward. People that tell everybody that they're going on a fast, asking everybody that to go on a fast with them. The fast is also something that needs to be secret. Verse 17, but you, when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face. Verse 18, so that you do not appear to men to be fasting. That's the point. That's the purpose. Everything to be secret, not to be looking or getting the approval of men, get people pleasing. That's the whole point of you giving people something in secret. That's the whole point of praying in secret. That's the whole point of fasting in secret. So the Most High can see that you're not doing it for the people. You're doing it for him. This is the whole purpose. That's the whole point. That's the whole idea. He needs to see that you're not being fulfilled by the accolades of people. And trust that you will be rewarded openly. This is what he says, so that you do not appear to men that you are fasting, but to your Father who sees in secret. And your Father who sees in secret shall reward you openly, so that people will see that you've been clearly rewarded by the Most High. Open, it is an open reward that people will see that you've been clearly blessed by the Most High Himself. Verse 19, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. What does he mean? What is he saying? Like, he's telling us, why is he telling us this? Why would thieves break in and steal? Because you laying up treasures on earth. This is why he's trying to get you to avoid. Anytime you having this savings, when you're saving all this money and you're focusing on saving the money, your whole objective is to save money. Now, it's one thing to invest money. It's another thing to save money. You want to invest money. And because with investing, you're investing in property that can give shelter to people. Give shelter to yourself and your family, and give shelter to people. So investing money is good. Investing money into crops, to food, you know what I mean? To make crops and fruit and vegetables and herbs. That's good because you can feed people with that investment. You can do things with that. Feed yourself, feed your family, and feed people. Feed the hungry, feed the sick. Shelter the hungry, shelter the sick with the property. Investing. So investing is also good because you can invest in a business to give labor to people, for them to work for themselves. So they can fend for themselves and take care of themselves and take care of their family. That's good. Investing in a business. So investing is always better than saving or laying up treasures on earth. When you're laying up treasures on earth, what you're doing is causing the people that you could be investing in to want to come steal that money. You're turning these people that you can be investing in and investing in, taking care of, you're turning them into thieves, to wanting to become thieves, to take what you're saving up, the treasure that you're laying up on earth. This is why he said, don't lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, because what you're causing people to become are thieves. There's no getting around it. There's no people who are in less fortunate predicaments. They have no choice but look to you as the lick, as the come up. You're the one who has all this money saved, so they're going to look to thieve that money, whether it's electronically or whether it's physically. This is what you're causing people to do, which you're ultimately causing them to stumble. When you could be using that money to invest into the people, invest into yourself, into your family, and into the people. Through property, through crops, herbs, vegetables, fruit, business. Giving them a way to fend for themselves, instead of giving them a reason to come take from you. This is why I say don't lay up for yourself treasures on earth, where the moth and rust destroys, and where thieves is seeking to break in and steal. Breaking into your your digital account, whether it's digital, physical, they're constantly looking to break in and steal, because you want to lay up this treasure on earth when you should be investing and doing your good deeds in secret, like he said in the beginning of this chapter. Doing your good deeds for those less fortunate in secret. Doing your good deeds for the homeless, for the thirsty, for the prisoner, for the sick, for the fatherless, for the widows. Verse 20. But lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven. How do you do that? By exactly what I just described. Doing your good deeds in secret. But lay up for yourself treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. How do you do that? Invest in yourself. Invest in your family. Invest in the people who are less fortunate. Secretly. Do this secretly. It's not for everybody to know. Do this secretly, and you'll be laying up for yourselves treasures in the heaven, where he says when you do this deeds and good deeds in secret, so that your kind deed shall be done in secret, and your Father who sees in secret shall himself reward you openly. This is how you lay up treasures in heaven and receive those heavenly treasures on earth openly, rewards openly. It's not that complicated, man. If you just read, and you read carefully, and you dissect, and you actually, but let's move on. Verse 21, for where your treasure is, there your heart shall be also. That's where that money at. That's where. Is that not where your heart is? Are you not heartbroken if somebody was to take it and take it all? Digitally take it all? Electronically take it all? If you was to open your account on your phone today and see that you've been wiped out, where is it going to hurt? Where is it going to hurt? You're going to be heartbroken. I said for his son, oh, you you're gonna be sick. You will be sick if you was to open that app, that bank app, and see that there's nothing there. Same if you was to open that safe and see that there's nothing there. This is where your heart be, and you will be heartbroken. And if that's the case, you have a lot of work to do, like most of us have a lot of work to do. Because he's trying to get us to not be concerned with the material. And the best way to avoid your heart being in that is to invest. Use that money to invest in property. Use that money to invest in herbs, crops, vegetables, fruit, farm animals. Use that money to invest in business for people to work. Use that money. That's how you avoid being hurt. People can't steal investments. Thieves can't break in and steal investments. Thieves can't break in and steal investments. Yeah, you can steal some food, but go ahead. If it's that deep, you are hungry, you eat. You can steal my vegetables and my crops. I'll just grow some more. It's going to grow. You can't steal this property. What are you going to do? You can't take this property. I legally own it. If you do, you good, and it is clearly be known that you've stolen it. You can't steal this business. See what I'm saying? See what I'm getting at? So it's like, this is why investing is always, required. It's actually wise to do, because, and you can read it in these writings. This is not my idea to you. I've got this out of the spiritual knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that he spoke to his kings in Proverbs. That he spoke through Solomon in Proverbs, and I can't pinpoint exactly, but he speaks on property. He speaks on, animals and stuff like that. He speaks on this. He speaks on, in these investments. And forgive if I'm human, because I don't have cue cards. I don't read from a prompt. I don't read from a paper. And I want to carefully say what it is that needs to be said. So I'm taking this, I'm receiving this in real time and delivering it to you. So forgive if I'm not as perfect, or it doesn't sound perfect like your average content creator, because I'm not creating content. I'm just sharing I'm sharing the words of the Most High. I'm sharing the words of the Most High. So I'm carefully choosing my words. Let's pay attention to what actually, let's pay attention to substance. Let's not get distracted or distract ourselves from what it is, that's the substance. This is the substance. The substance is, investing is wiser than saving. It's safer to invest, and it's wiser to invest. Verse 23. I'm sorry, verse 21. For where your treasure is, there your heart shall be also. Verse 22. The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is good, all your body shall be enlightened. So if your body, if the lamp of the body is your eye, if therefore your eye is good, all your body should be enlightened. So if your eye is on doing for the people and doing your deeds in secret for the people of God, for the less fortunate, all your body will be enlightened. Verse 23. But if your eye is evil and your eye is on your bank account, that's all you can pay attention to is, what's going on in your account and what's going on in your stocks, and how's, the stock market going, and how's things going, and how's your business and numbers is coming in. When you concerned with that and adding to that saving account, and you can't keep your eye off of that savings account, you can't keep your eye off of it, and you're worried about, something happening to it, and you're worried. This is where your eye is, that your eye is evil, and all your body shall be darkened. If then the light that is within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? So that's what you can't do both. You can't be concerned with the people and investing in the people, and also concerned with saving and adding to the savings. It's counterproductive. It's a conflict of interest. It's a conflict of interest. It's a conflict. This is what's wrong. This is what we're about to get into. Verse 24. No one is able to serve two masters, for either he shall hate the one and love the other, or else he shall cleave to the one and despise the other. You are not able to serve Elohim and Mammon. You are not able to serve God and money. Serving God requires you investing in the less fortunate, using that money to invest in the less fortunate. That's a conflict of interest, because you're taking away from that money to invest in the less fortunate in secret, doing it in secret. That's the conflict of interest. That's the problem. That's the issue. That's the issue. So when you focusing on, all you're doing is focusing on money, and that's what I mean by keeping your eye on money, is that's all you're worried about, and you're not worried. You're going to hate taking away from that money. You're going to hate using that money to invest in people. This proof of this is billionaires. Proof of this is every billionaire and every millionaire and everybody who has a lot of money, more money than they actually need. This is the proof of this. This is a perfect example of this. Have more money than they actually need, and yet they're worried on saving and adding more to it to become trillionaires. They're serving money. Saving money is serving money. You're serving it as a deity. You're serving it as a God. Money is your God. And you're looking to add to it and make it greater and make it larger and make it. Are you not getting the point? You're looking to add to it. So you can convince yourself and you can justify what you do. You serving money and saving and serving money and serving this God. But the correct way of dealing with money is investing. And that's what the actual scriptures teach. Is invest. Invest in people, what they have. Invest in having investings, having investments, having property. That's what the scriptures teach. Having farm animals. That's what the cattle and stuff like that. That was the true wealth. That's biblical wealth. That's what the scriptures teach. Having crops, herbs, fruits, vegetables. That's what the scriptures teach. The scriptures doesn't teach you to have all this tons of money. Scriptures doesn't teach that. Scriptures doesn't teach you to do that. It's literally telling you you can't serve Elohim and money. It's literally just told us, don't lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Don't lay up for yourself treasures on earth. This is the book of Matthew, by the way, if you weren't aware of what we were reading. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 19. This is where it tells you, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth. So the scriptures is telling you, the Messiah is telling you, the one who you claim to believe in a name and you're saved by that name is telling you, don't lay up for yourselves treasures on earth. The one who you are said that said to believe in, trust in, and you're saved by his name, he's telling you, don't lay up for yourselves treasures on earth. He's telling you this. In the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 19. This is what he's telling you. I don't care what everybody else have told you and what else everybody else is doing. He's telling you not to do this and why not to do it. I explained that. I'm not going to go backwards. I already explained why. You can read it for yourself of why he's telling you not to do it. The correct way to do this biblically is to invest. Invest in property. That's biblical. That's what Solomon spoke of. Having animals. Having farm animals. That's what Solomon spoke of. When you read that in Proverbs, what it's talking about is it literally is. That's what money becomes. Money does that, and that's what these people do. That's what these people use. Billionaires, millionaires use this today to protect to do what is corrupt. That doesn't make it right. They use it to bribe people. They use that money to bribe people and make people do things that's shameful. They use that money to make people do things that they can blackmail people. They use people use that money to do things for them, to get people out the way. This is what that meant. This is what that verse meant. This is what these people use that money for. So if you didn't catch that, you know what I mean? I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to get too much into that. If it's not for you to see, you don't have the eyes to see it yet. You don't have the ears to hear it yet. And the prophecy said it would be that way. If you read more, if you trust more in God instead of money, you will understand what I'm explaining to you. You can't serve God and money. You can't, no matter how you justify it. We understand that you love your money. That's cool. Love your money, save your money, pay attention to your money, and serve your money. That's the God. That's your God. Whether you like it or not, or whether how much you justify it or not, that's what you're doing. You do you. But this is what the Messiah, this is what the only begotten Son of God is telling you not to do. Verse 25. Because of this, this is why he's telling you this. Because of this, I say to you, do not worry about your life. He's telling you not to worry about your life in the flesh. Do not worry about your life, what you should eat or drink, or about your body, what you should put on. Because when you're worried, when you're serving money, that's what you're worried about. That's what you're focused on. Your life. If this ain't for you, it ain't for you. That's what I mean. You can't understand it. This is spiritual knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. This is spiritual teachings. So if you're in the flesh, you're obviously in the flesh and you're thinking of material of the flesh, in the material for the flesh, in the money. So that's what you're thinking. That's what your thing is. You know what I mean? Like that's what your thing is. He's saying don't focus on your flesh. Trust that you'll be taken care of. Trust that you will have. If you 6 days you labor and the seventh you rest, like you're commanded to do. 6 days you labor and the seventh you rest. If you do that, you'll be taken care of. 6 days you labor, the seventh you rest, you have what you need. If you invest in doing your deeds for the people less fortunate in secret, you'll have what you need. If you pray in secret, you'll have what you need. If you fast in secret, you'll have what you need. Did he not say that he will reward you openly if you do these things? Did he not say that he will reward you openly if you do your good deeds for the less fortunate in secret? Did he not say that he will reward you openly if you pray in secret? Did he not say that he will reward you openly if you fast in secret? So comes down to trusting in God and not yourself. And that's the toughest thing for people to do. I get it. You trust more in yourself. You trust more in your own dealings, leaning on your own understanding, your own hands, and you trust more in your supervisor and your boss. You trust more in man. You trust more in them. I get it. You trust more in your leader. I get it. It's normal. It's the nature of the flesh. When you're in the flesh, that's how you're going to think. That's how you're going to operate. That's how you're going to operate. So I get it, man. You know, it's the flesh. It's not your spirit within you that's thinking like this. It's your flesh thinking of security, fleshly security. Security of the flesh. It's your flesh thinking of securing the flesh. Being financially secure. And your thinking is that you have to have all this money to be financially secure, which is not true. You can be financially secure by investing when you get it. When you do the deeds in secret and you receive these rewards, use that money to invest. Use those rewards that you receive from God for doing your good deeds in secret to invest. Use those rewards that you receive from God when you fast in secret. Use that money to invest. Use those rewards that you receive from God when you pray in secret and do all that his son taught us to do, left as an example to do. Because of this, I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you shall eat or drink, or about your body, what you shall put on. Is not life more than the food, and the body more than the clothing? What he means by this life, spiritual life, is more than the body and more than the clothing and more than the food, because it's about your spirit making it is extending its stay, extending its stay in the spirit realm. That's what it really comes down to. You can't take none of that with you, and all of that is be incinerated along with the flesh. All of that will be incinerated. So this is his whole point. The whole point of all of this is to focus on getting your spirit where it came from, getting it back to where it came from, which is the supreme spirit. That's the whole objective of life. Everything else is a distraction. Everything else is the ancient knowledge of evil and the enemy and what he uses to distract you. Got you conversating and making, trying to justify material things that will be incinerated. Got you making a case for things that's material that will be incinerated. Hey man, listen, don't be fooled. It's about the spirit and continuing your stay in the spirit realm. Because the flesh itself has an expiration date. What's made for the flesh has an expiration date. What's made by the flesh has an expiration date, whether you like it or not. It has an expiration date. It has an expiration date. So when you worried and concerned with things that have an expiration date, you're wasting your time. When you should be worrying and concerning yourself with what has an extension date. Has an extension date. And that's the only thing that has an extension date is spirit. It's spirit. The spirit within you. The spirit within you. That's the only thing that has an extension date. Everything else has an expiration date. And if you want to expire with everything else, that's your decision. But if you want to extend, if you want an extension date, be concerned with what can be extended, and that's the spirit. This is his whole point. It's not life, meaning true life, which is the spirit. Is not spiritual life more than the food and the body, more than the clothing. Use the body to do your deeds in secret. Use the body to do the work of Yah. Use your body to do good to those, to do the work of the harvest. Use this body to do that. Don't use it to have meaningless arguments and meaningless discussions and meaningless, debates, and don't use the body for that. You're wasting the body's time. You're wasting the body doing that. You're wasting the body making an argument for some material things. Is not the body more than clothing? Verse 26, look at the birds. Look at the birds of the sky. Look at the birds of the heavens. That's what the sky is heavens. For they neither sow nor reap nor gather into storehouses. They don't work for what they get. They don't work for their food. Yet their heavenly Father does feed them. This is the point I was making. Yet their heavenly Father does feed them. Are you not worth more than they? So he's basically explaining how the birds are taken care of, but yet they just do what they're instructed to do. They fly and do the things that that the Most High instructed them to do. We don't know. The Most High instructed them to do what they got to do. And as long as they're doing what they're instructed to do by God, those birds, they are fed. They ain't doing nothing extra. They're not laying up all this. They're not laying up all this treasure. They neither sow nor reap. You don't see birds planting seeds in the ground and trying to get plants and trying to get fruit out of the ground. You don't see birds farming. You don't see birds doing that. But yet they get their grub. But yet they get theirs. They get their fruit. They get their vegetables. You don't see them working for it, though. You don't see them planting any gardens. You don't see birds doing that. Verse 27. And which of you by worrying is able to add 1 cubit to your lifespan? Which of you by worrying is able to add one cubit to your lifespan? You can't add 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year to your lifespan by worrying about your life. Worrying about what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, what you're going to wear. No, just do the instructions of God, which is the part of his instructions is 6 days you labor and the seventh you rest. Part of his instructions is do your good deeds to those in secret. Look out for his people in secret. Part of his instructions is follow the demonstrations and examples of his only begotten son. If you don't know the instructions of God, get to know him, man. You got to get to know him. First place to find him is the book of Exodus, chapter 20. That's where you can start and keep reading and keep reading. Keep reading. That's not what we're doing right now. What we're doing is reading what we're reading. So, and which of you by worrying is able to add 1 cubit to his lifespan? Verse 28. So why do you worry about clothing? Note well the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Like the flowers of the field, like they don't toil nor spin. They don't work for how they look. They're beautiful. They don't work for their beauty. They don't work for the beautiful petals that they have. The flowers don't work for that. They neither toil nor spin. Verse 29. And I say to you that even Solomon in all his glory was not dressed like one of these flowers. Even Solomon couldn't outdress the flowers. Even Solomon couldn't outdress the flowers. But Solomon had this and had that. Flowers didn't have to do the flowers didn't have to have any of that. All the flowers had to do was exist. All the flowers had to do was exist, and they outdressed everybody. To this day, they're outdressing everybody. They don't toil, they don't do no work for their appearance. So this is what he's basically trying to, downgrade the whole clothes thing, worried about clothes. Worried about clothes. And just like you do have a free will to keep it moving. You have a free will to keep it moving, and if it's not for you, keep it moving and live within your will. But this is about living the will of God and returning to the Supreme Spirit. No one's holding you hostage. No one's stopping you from keeping it moving. Continuing in your way, continuing in your will, in your free will. But if Elohim, meaning God, so clothed the grass of the field, which exists today and tomorrow is thrown into the furnace, how much more you? So if he clothed the flowers, which exist today and tomorrow is thrown in the furnace when they cut the grass, if he clothed the grass, if he clothes the flowers, how much more you, O you of little belief? How much more you, O you of little belief? Supreme Spirit is the Most High God, the Most High Yah, the Almighty. Yahuwah, Yah, as in hallelujah, that's the Supreme Spirit. And supreme means there's no higher. There's nothing higher. So that's what the word supreme means. Don't confuse the word supreme. That's what supreme means, is nothing higher. So that's what I mean to basically give him praise, give the Supreme Spirit the praise it deserves. The Supreme Spirit is nothing higher. When you hear Supreme Court, is nothing higher than the Supreme Court. There's nothing higher than Supreme. So the same, forget the courts, the Supreme government, the court, the Supreme Spiritual Court is the supreme government of God, and he has supreme spiritual laws. It's a supreme spiritual government that's unseen, that it takes faith to obey. It takes faith to acknowledge. It takes true belief to now acknowledge and actually follow and obey. So that's where strong belief is demonstrated. When you're obeying this Supreme Spirit, that entity that you can't see, when you're following the instructions of this Supreme Spirit entity that you can't see, when you're obeying the laws of this Supreme Spirit entity that you can't see, that's showing strong belief, because you're taking time out of your life to treat people the way you want to be treated because this Supreme Spirit told you to do so. You're taking time out of your life to do for people who are less fortunate because this Supreme Spirit told you to do so. It takes strong belief. This is how you truly show your strong belief and show your faith. You can say with your lips that you have faith. You can say with your lips that you have belief. But it's what your fruit. It's by your fruit you should know them. We're going to get into that. Oh, man, we are behind. Verse 31, do not worry then, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? Verse 32, for all these the nations seek for, and your heavenly Father knows, that you need all these. Your heavenly Father knows that you need all these. So this is answer the question, or this is, these are the answers to questions you may have had of, oh, I'm not supposed to worry. We're not supposed to worry about our life. He knows that you need. He knows that you have needs. He knows that you have needs. He knows that you have needs. He knows that you need to wear something. He knows that you need to drink something. He knows that you need to eat something. He knows this. For all these the nations seek for, and your heavenly Father knows that you need all these. It's the nations and those who have little belief and no belief at all that are concerned with this and this alone. And they're going to go about what they need to do to get this, whether they have to lie, steal, cheat, cut corners, break the laws of God and break the laws of man to get it. They're going to get it. This is what the nations do. This is what most people do. I understand it. It's the flesh. It's the nature of the flesh. I don't agree with it. The spirit doesn't agree with it. The spirit in me doesn't agree with it. But the flesh understands. And all the most... Verse 33, but seek first the kingdom of Elohim, the kingdom of God, and his righteousness, and all these shall be added to you. So when you seek first his righteousness, meaning doing what he commanded. We know that that's righteousness, his righteousness, because what he commanded is Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 25. That's the definition of our righteousness, is doing what he commanded. So doing what he commanded is our righteousness. So when you seek first doing what he commanded, and when you seek first the kingdom, which is doing what his son left as an example, doing what his son left as a demonstration, doing what his son left as teachings and lessons, when you seek first that, all of these shall be added to you. Your water, I'm not your drink, what you should drink, what you should eat, what you should wear should be added to you. All of that should be added to you. All of that should be is as tough as it is that simple. As tough as it is for the flesh to accept, understand, and actually do, it's that simple. It's that simple if you see it with your spirit. If you see it with your spiritual eyes, hear it with your spiritual ears, and understand it with your spiritual heart. The breath of life, spiritual child of God within you. Verse 34, do not then worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow shall have its own worries. Each day has enough evil of itself. Each day has enough evil of itself. Don't worry about tomorrow. You got to get through the day. We got to get through tonight. Can't be worrying about tomorrow. We got to get through these hours. Each day has enough evil of itself. Each hour has enough evil of itself. Talking about tomorrow, you got to get through this hour. You got to get through this hour. I went from telling people, man, one day at a time to, man, one minute at a time. 1 minute at a time. I can't be that ridiculous, but like 1 hour at a time. But literally, man, 1 hour at a time, man. 1 hour at a time. You got to humble yourself to get to that point. We have to humble ourselves that an hour isn't promised. Forget a day. An hour isn't promised. Chapter 7, verse 1. Do not judge, lest you be judged. Do not judge, lest you be judged. What does he mean by this? Verse 2. For with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged. And with the same measure you use, it should be measured to you. This is the book of Matthew, by the way, chapter 7. So the standards that you're setting for people, it'll be set for you. It may not be what they can be judged for, that the standard that you should be meeting, that you're setting for them, but it may be something that you can be judged for in a standard that you're not meeting. So this is why you can't get into judging, unless this is because not only are you not the judge, meaning because you're not to judge someone's fate and where they're going to go if they still have breath in the breath of life spirit within them to repent. You can't determine where someone is going to go when they still have the breath of life in them to repent. To repent from what it is that they've done or what it is that they're doing. You can't say that they're going to eternal this, that, and the third when they still have the breath of life in them to repent from whatever it is that they're doing, whatever it is that they've done. Now, if they blaspheme the set apart spirit, that's a whole nother story, because that's the only sin that won't be forgiven. But everything else can be forgiven. So that's one part of judging that you definitely ain't got no business judging. But also people like to justify judging and justify judging others. And this debunks all of this. What we about to read, it debunks all of this whole thing. Verse 3. And why do you look at the splinter in your brother's eye, but do not notice the plank in your own eye. Verse 4, or how is it that you say to your brother, let me remove the splinter out of your eye, and see, a plank is in your own eye. Verse 5, hypocrite. First remove the plank from your own eye. This is the only. First you have to remove what it is that you're falling short. First you have to clean up your life. First you have to make the adjustments in your life and make sure that you're doing what was instructed by the Most High. You have to make sure you're doing everything that was instructed by the Most High. You have to make sure that you're following the lessons and the teachings of his only begotten Son. You have to make sure that you're following the examples and demonstrations of his only begotten Son. First, make sure of that. First, remove the plank from your own eye, and then and only then you shall see clearly to remove the splinter out of your brother's eye or your sister's eye. So you can't get the judging, folks. If you got something going on. If there's something that you're falling short. So if you can't love your enemies, you ain't got no business judging anybody. If you can't let nobody borrow, you ain't got no business, and you got this money saved up, you can't let nobody borrow enough, you ain't got no business judging anybody. If you can't turn the other cheek, you ain't got no business judging anybody. Yeah. Let's not forget about the turn the other cheek in teaching. If you can't stop laying up treasures on earth, you ain't got no business judging anybody. If you can't, man, I could go on and go on, man. Y'all get the idea, man. But the toughest part of everything is loving your enemies. People can't love they can't love someone that they hate. They can't love someone that they consider an enemy. They can't love someone that doesn't look like them. They can't love someone that's not their brother or their sister. But yet they feel a need that they have room to judge someone else. They feel a need, that they're just in judging someone else. Nah. You fell short. You're falling short of loving your neighbor. You're falling short of loving your enemy. You're falling short of forgiving someone. Verse 6, do not give what is set apart to the dogs, nor throw your pearls before pigs, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you in pieces. Dogs are biblically known as unbelievers. That's what a dog is in the scriptures. A dog is known as an unbeliever. A pig is known as an unclean person. This is the unclean. So the unclean and the unbeliever. Don't waste your time sharing this with unclean and the unbeliever. You don't waste your time sharing this with the unclean and the unbeliever, because what they're going to do is make a mockery of it. I see it all the time in my comments. You're going to have people come along, they're unclean or they're unbelievers, and they're going to make a mockery of what you're saying. This is what he's telling you not to do, not waste your time in doing so. Don't throw your pearls before the feet. Don't throw the pearls. Don't give what is set apart to the dogs, nor throw your pearls before pigs, lest they trample them under their feet. They're going to trample these words, the words of God, under their feet, meaning make a mockery of them. They're going to disrespect it. And then go as far as to turning and tearing you to pieces. If they were in person with you, they would go as far as to try to put hands on you, because they're unclean with an unclean spirit on them. They're unclean with unclean spirits that's attached to their flesh. And so there's no point to waste your time with them. There's no point to waste these words of God on them. Unless they take the initiative to want to listen and they came to you to listen, there's no point to go to them, go out of your way and try to shove it down their ears, force it down their, digestion. You're setting yourself up. You're setting yourself up for some trouble, some disrespect, some mockery, and some trouble. Verse 7, ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be open to you. What does he mean by this? For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it shall be open. What does that mean? Does that mean anything? You can ask for anything? Verse 9, or is there a man among you who, if his son asks for bread, now we're getting examples, bread, shall give him a stone? That's the opposite of what you would give someone. Verse 10, or if he asks for fish, that's an example, fish, food, shall he give him a snake? That's the opposite of what you give someone. Now we getting understanding of what we can be asking for. Verse 11, if you then, being wicked, know how to give good gifts, examples, to your children, how much shall your Father who is in the heavens give what is good to those who ask him? So he's not going to give you something that's bad for you. You can't come asking for something that's not good for you, or he feel as though it won't be good. It's not in your best interest to have. You can't be asking for ridiculous materialistic things unless it's for your survival, like food, shelter, transportation. If that, you could even ask for that if it involves you carrying out his instruction, which is 6 days you work and the 7th you rest. But you can't go asking for this sports car. You can't go asking for this ton of money that you don't need. You will have more than enough to have, and he knows what you're going to do with it. You're not going to do nothing good with it. You just can't ask for anything, yo. People don't listen to people when they say ask and knock and seek and you should receive. You can't. You're not going to receive just anything. You're going to receive what's beneficial to your spiritual child of God within you, to do his will. What benefits you to do his will. Verse 12, therefore, whatever you wish men to do to you, do also to them. For this is the Torah and the prophets. All of this sums up doing whatever you do, whatever you wish men to do to you, do also to them. That's what sums up the instructions of God and the prophecies of the prophets of God, is to get rid of everyone who doesn't want to treat people how they want to be treated. The prophecies, that's what sums up the prophecies. That's where the prophecies are leading up to, is getting rid of the people who don't want to treat people how they want to be treat others how they want to be treated. And the instructions of God is showing you how to treat others how you want to be treated. You don't want to be unalived. You don't want to be lied to, false witness against. You don't want to be something stolen from you. You don't want someone to sleep with your spouse and, commit adultery against. You don't want no one to, disrespect your parents, honor your parents. You don't want no one to covet what you have. These are the instructions of God. So anybody who speak against the instructions of God and say, it's not by works, it's not by that, you don't have to do that. So you don't have to treat people, you don't have to respect people, because that's all the instructions of God is. It's showing you how to respect people. And if you don't want to respect people, the prophecies is talking about getting rid of people like you that don't want to treat people how you want to be treated. Whatever you wish men to do to you, do also to them. If you don't agree with this, the prophecies leads up to getting rid of you. The instructions teach you how to do whatever you wish men to do to you, do to them. That's what the instructions teach you. That's what the instructions teach us. Is to respect the Most High and respect each other. That's all the instructions teaches us. That's why it sums up the Torah and the prophets. Torah means instructions of God. Prophets means the prophecies of the prophets of God. That's why this says, this is the Torah and the prophets. Whatever you wish men to do to you, do also to them. Verse 13, enter in through the narrow gate, because the gate is wide and the way is broad that leads to destruction. And there are many who enter in through it. There are many who enter into this gate of destruction because most of them don't want to treat people how they want to be treated. Treat people the way they want to be treated. That's why, this is why it is wide that leads to the way of destruction. Verse 14, because the gate is narrow and the way is hard pressed, which leads to life. And there are few who find it. There are few who find this way that leads to life, because the way of life is treating people how you want to be treated and treating God with much respect and following his instructions and doing good deeds for those in secret. Those who are less fortunate, doing the good deeds for those who are less fortunate in secret. Not saving up money, not concerned with what they're going to wear, what they're going to eat, what they're going to drink, because they know that following the instructions, the Most High knows what they need, and they're going to have that. 6 days they labor, 7 they rest, they're going to receive that. This is the narrow way. Loving your enemies is the narrow way. Turning the other cheek is the narrow way. As tough as that is to hear, as tough as that is to do in the flesh, this is the narrow way. This is why most are going to be led to destruction, because most don't want to forgive. Most want to hate their enemies. Most want to curse those who curse them and get their lick back, get their revenge. Get the eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Most want to divorce their wives because they're not attracted to them no more, and they attracted to someone else. Man, listen. Verse 15, but beware of the false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are savage wolves. They come to you in sheep's clothing, in these suits and ties, and these head garments, and clothing, in Middle Eastern clothing. You know what I mean? And they get on here in front of you in these platforms, and they they say holy, holy, this, that, and the third. But yet inwardly they're savage wolves because they can't forgive someone. Inwardly they're savage wolves because they can't love their enemies. Inwardly they're savage wolves because they can't let someone borrow, and they saving up treasures on earth. They laying up all this money instead of investing in them, in their people. They're praying in public, praying to be seen by men, fasting to be seen by people, people pleasing. Doing their good deeds so people can see it. This is what makes them savage wolves. Verse 16, by their fruits you should know them. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes, or figs from thistles? Verse 17, so every good tree yields good fruit, but a rotten tree yields wicked fruit. Verse 18, a good tree is unable to yield wicked fruit, and a rotten tree to yield good fruit. Verse 19, every tree that does not bear fruit is cut. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Verse 20, so then by their fruit you shall know them. By their fruit. What is the fruit? All that he's been teaching from chapter 5, the beginning of chapter 5 of Matthew, to where we are now, wrapping it up in chapter 7. All of that is the fruit. Don't let nobody tell you different. Don't let nobody tell you, even the fruit that that our ancient brother speak of in these writings it comes from the original fruit that Messiah taught. The original fruit, his teachings, his examples, his demonstrations, his teachings, his lessons. That's the fruit. That's the original fruit. That's the fruit of all fruit that he's going to be looking for. That's the fruit of the spiritual child of God within you. To show that you're a spiritual child of God. You loving your enemies is fruit. You forgiving people is fruit. You letting people borrow when you really don't want to give them nothing is fruit. You turning the other cheek is fruit. You humbling yourself is fruit. You mourning for others is fruit. You having compassion is fruit. You being a peacemaker is fruit. You not laying up treasures on earth is fruit. You not judging people. It's fruit. That's the fruit. By your fruit, you should know them. If Verse 21, not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of the heavens. So not everyone who claims to know his name, claim to know this name, claim to know him as Lord or know him as Master, will enter into the kingdom. This is his words, not mine. This is the one you claim to know, claim to have a relationship, claim to know his name, claim to have faith in, claim to believe in, claim to be saved by. This is what he says. Not everyone who says to me in the day of his return, in the day of judgment, in the day of Yah, in the day of his father's wrath. Not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of the heavens. But, meaning but only the people who is doing the desire of his Father in the heavens. So that he needs to see you doing the desire of his Father. And what is the desire of his Father? The desire of his Father is what his Father commanded, what his Father instructed. You can't enter his Father's kingdom if you don't follow the rules of his Father. That's like no one can enter your home if they don't follow your rules. If your son's friend or your daughter's friend doesn't follow the rules of your household, they not invited over. So how is that any different from the house of the Father? You're not invited in his house if you don't follow his rules. His son can't invite you over if you don't follow his rules. If you don't follow the rules of his Father, how can he invite you in? He's not against the rules of his Father. He's clearly for the rules of his Father based on what we read from in chapter 5 of Matthew's verse 16 through 20. So we can debunk the idea that is not about works and it's not about instruction and it's not about commands and it's not about we already see that the only begotten Son himself said, yeah, it is about that. Whether you like it or not. So he says, only he who is doing the desire of my Father in heaven shall enter into the kingdom. Verse 22, many shall say to me, these same people who claim to believe in him and claim to know his name and claim to have the relation and claim to be saved by him and this, that, and the third, many shall say to me in that day, Master, Master, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name and cast out demons in your name and done many mighty works in your name and what we believe to be your name? Verse 23, and then, this is what he says, and then I shall declare to them I never knew you. I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. Who are the people who work lawlessness? The people who be saying, oh, you're legal, you're a legalist. People who call the laws of God is legalism. What sense do that make? People who call the laws of God the laws of Moses. What sense does that make? People who call the laws of his father obsolete. That's a lawless one. That's one who, if you don't obey the law, then you're lawless. If you don't obey the laws of God, then you're lawless. If you don't believe in the laws of God, then you're lawless. This is who he's going to be telling you. This is what he's going to be telling those who believe this stuff, who's been misled to believe this stuff. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. Verse 24, therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine, these words of his, no one else's, these words of his, everyone who hears these words of mine and does them shall be like a wise man who built his house on a rock, because that's the foundation. His words is the foundation. His words is the way. And the rain came down, and the floods came, and the wind blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. His words. Substance. Substance. Without the law, without the laws of God, it's no substance. Without the instructions of God, there's no substance. Without the lessons and the teachings of his only begotten son and the demonstrations and examples of his only begotten son, there's no substance. There's no foundation. What are you built on? Lip service? Just simple words of you saying that you believe in this name and you're good? There's no substance is that. That's not foundation. That's not the words of his. It has to be founded on the words of his. What he spoke. Verse 26, everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them, and does not do them. Is that not works? Is the word do not an action verb? Whatever you want to call it, action, adverb. Is that not a verb? Is that not action? Is that not works? Is the word do not works? And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them shall be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. You built your house on the sand because there's no substance. It's just lips. You built your house on sand because you're not doing what he told you to do. He's literally saying, if you're not doing what I told you to do, if you're not loving your enemies, you built your house on sand. If you're not forgiving others, you built your house on sand. If you're not following the instructions of my father, you built your house on sand. If you're not, listen, if you're laying up treasures on earth, you built your house on sand. And the rain came down, and the floods came, and the wind blew, and it beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. Verse 28. And it came to be when Yahushua had ended these words. So he's finally ending these words that started in chapter 5 of Matthew's verse 2. He's finally ending these words. What were these words? And it came to be when Yahushua had ended these words that the people were astonished at his teachings. These words were his teachings. These words were his teachings. And it clearly shows where these teachings end and where they begin in chapter 5 of Matthew's verse 2. These teachings begin in chapter 5 of Matthew's verse 2. And they're finally ending. He finally ended these words. All these words were his teachings. People were astonished at his teachings. Verse 28. Verse 29. For he was teaching them as one possessing authority, and not as the scribes. Hallelujah, hallelujah, praise Yah, may all glory be to Yah, Yahuwah, Shabbat, Yahuwah Almighty, Yahuwah Most High, Yahuwah El Shaddai. Thank you, Yahuwah. Thank you, Yahushua. Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah. It was you who said that when 2 or 3 are gathered in your name, you are amongst us, you are in our midst, you are present. So with that being said, Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah, I ask that you help those who are gathered in your name heal from whatever it is that we need healing from. Whatever it is that our loved ones need healing from. Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah, I ask that you help those who are gathered in your name find comfort in whatever it is we need to find comfort in. Whatever it is we need to find comfort from. And whatever it is our loved ones need to find comfort in. And whatever it is our loved ones need to find comfort from. Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah, since you are in our midst, I ask that you help us, those who are gathered in your name, find relief in whatever it is we need to find relief in. And whatever it is we need to find relief from. Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah, since you are in our midst and we are gathered in your name, I ask that you help those who are gathered in your name repent from whatever it is we need to repent from. Return to the instructions of your Father. Return to your lessons, your teachings, your examples, your demonstrations. Return and become spiritual children of your Father through your lessons, through your teachings, through your demonstrations, and through your examples. Help us love our enemies. Help us do good for those hating us and forgive those. Help us, man. We need it. Me, myself included. Help us not lay up treasures on earth. Not worry about tomorrow. Not worry about what we're going to wear, what we're going to eat, what we're going to drink. Help us. Help us. We need it. Send your comforter in times to come, times that we're dealing with now, and for times that's coming. Send your comforter. Help us humble ourselves. Help us humble ourselves. Help us have compassion. Help us mourn for others. Help us be peacemakers so we become spiritual children of your Father. Help us not judge, because we know that we can be judged for something that we're falling short of. Help us pray in secret. Help us fast in secret. Help us do good for those who are less fortunate in secret. Let it be, Master, let it be. Help us sharpen our discernment. Let it be, let it be. Peace, love. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Peace and love. Till next time, let us be humble. Let us repent. Let us deny our flesh of what it wants to do, what it wants to say, and where it wants to go, and who it wants to be with. Tap into our spiritual breath of life spirit within, spiritual children of God within us. Till next time, peace, love, shalom, shalom, peace, and love.